Hey, how's it going? I built a tool called Amgi to help me remember things, and I'm going to show it to you right now. Okay, so the tool is called Amgi, and the tagline is "Never Forget." And let me just show you how this thing works. So if you've ever used Anki before, it's the same idea, but a little bit different, and I'll explain why it's a little different too. Okay, so I've got Amgi here. I've hosted it on my tomontheinternet.com. And then I've got a fake user that I've created here and a fake password. And let's sign in. And we will not remember that password. Okay, so this is what you see when you sign into Amgi. And again, Amgi is a tool that's supposed to help you remember things. So let's choose something that we want to remember. Okay, so let's say I want to remember my friend Mike's favorite color. There we go. Perfect. Use the American spelling. I don't know why. Okay, and let's assume it's probably green because he likes green. So I've now just made a card like that. Okay, so my friend Mike's favorite color. So the way it works is that I want to see if I can actually remember that. So I'm going to try this card out right now. I'm going to try and type it. I'm going to type in blue and see if I got it right. And I got it wrong. Okay, great. And if I type in green, I got it right. Good. And it's no longer due, right? This is grayed out. I can still attempt it if I want, but it won't be due again until tomorrow, right? So we have Angi, never forget, right? And then why not Anki, right? So I've used Anki in the past when I was studying Korean, right? I used Anki a lot to help me learn Korean. But the problem was I found that a lot of time with Anki, I wouldn't actually commit things to memory that I thought I had, right? So I'd get it perfect in Anki all the time. But then when I needed to use that word or sentence or whatever in the real world, my brain just couldn't find it, right? I hadn't made the right connections or whatever. This Amgi is my way of kind of fixing that, right? So I'm going to talk about a few things here that I think it does better than Anki out of the box. So the first thing, it syncs real time across devices. Okay, so I'm going to, I've got like a phone right here, right? So I'm going to log into this thing right now. Okay, so let's make a card here. Like, what's the capital city of Korea? Good, and the answer is obviously Seoul. So I'm gonna put that in here. And now when I hit save, it shows up here instantaneously, right? So my phone is synced with my web browser, and I didn't have to do anything, right? So I don't have to go in and remember to sync. It's just going to do that for me automatically, right? And you can see that it is currently due, right? And then I'm going to get it right now. So let me go in and put the answer in, and I attempt it, and you can see it's not due anymore, right? And then I'm going to attempt it again and get it wrong, so it will actually be due again. And now you can see that it is due. Perfect. Okay, so it syncs perfectly with your phone. That's pretty important to me. Next, entirely web-based, right? So on my phone, it's just a web app on my phone, but you can install it onto your phone's screen. But it's all just a web app. So you're not downloading different apps. You don't have to keep them updated. You don't have to pay for anything, right? Next, it allows me to attempt cards in the order I want. So one problem with Anki is that with Anki, you say, okay, I want to practice my cards, and it shows them to you in a random order. And I think they think that's a benefit. That's not a benefit for me. Sometimes I want to, just go through all my do cards. I want to look at all the ones that I do and just attempt them in the order I want, right? Maybe mentally, like I go, okay, I'm kind of group these ones here and I group those ones there. So I like having that freedom. Okay, so the next thing is it forces me to prove that I actually know the response. So with Anki, it asks you, it shows you the prompt, you think of the response, and then it asks you, did you get it right? But with this one, if I get it wrong, right? So if I say it's, Busan instead of Seoul or something like that, it's going to tell me, no, you got that wrong. This is helpful for me to actually prove that I know the answer. Sometimes, with Anki, I would think like, yeah, I knew that. And I hit, okay, this one will tell me, no, you didn't get it right. You didn't get it 100% right. So it's wrong. Yeah, and this whole thing is free, which is a benefit, right? Like, it cost me nothing to host this. I'll explain why. So like, maybe a penny or two a month, which is pretty great, right? So I don't care to, like, I'm not going to charge anyone if they want to use this thing. And it uses dates, not date times. So with Anki, something would happen is like in the morning I'd go to do all my cards, and then halfway through the day there'd be new cards due. I'm like, why are there new cards due? With Amgi, it just uses dates, right? So May 1st, okay, here's all the cards that are due, and then nothing else is going to show up until May 2nd, which I like. Okay, now, one issue with provable recall, right? So yeah, right now, like, what's the capital of city of Korea? If I type in Seoul, that's lowercase versus uppercase, right? Is that right or wrong? And for me, like, I have a little bit of wiggle room with Amgi. So if you don't get it quite right, it'll just show you a diff. It'll show you, okay, here's what you got wrong, but we're going to consider this right. So it's the way it works is like, if the punctuation's a little wrong, or if the spacing's a little wrong, or if you're like above 97% accuracy, which is, you're pretty much right, then it's going to consider it right. So this is just to stop like annoying things where, if you were trying to remember like a long sentence and you put the period in the wrong spot or something small like that, it's going to say, okay, close enough. So you'll still see you didn't quite get it right. You'll get that feedback, but you don't get frustrated with it. I also have this search thing in here, which is like real time and super fast, right? So if I type in Korea, I can see something like that. I can also add tags. If I want, I can add a tag and say, okay, this is about capitals, like that, add that tag in there. And then later on, I can go back and like put in capitals, right? And see those things here. I can now attempt it. What's the capital city? I put in Seoul. That's the right response. Boom, perfect. Okay, great. So that's it. Now the tech stack. So I'm using something called AWS Amplify to host this. I'm going to do a separate video on AWS Amplify, but essentially everything is hosted serverless, right? Which means that I like all of my authentication, database, everything. Like I don't really have to worry about that. There's pros and cons to that, but for something like this, it's actually mostly a benefit. Yeah. So that's it. So yeah, if you're interested in trying this thing out, like, I mean, totally free, very cheap for me to host. I'm going to leave it there, right? I know all of this is probably achievable in Anki, but this one just works out of the box the way I want it to. Okay, thanks for watching.